Hello YouTube. So I've been receiving some questions about spec and what I'm doing and blah 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 since I posted the video of the rotation guide. So I thought I would do that because it seems to be something people want to know. I have shown the specs before, I'm pretty sure. And it's nothing spectacularly different than any other Moonkin player who is doing heroics or mythic raiding, but I mean, I get it. Like, I get it. So here we go. Basically, gonna go through this fairly quickly. So got some of the Diablo stuff here. Oh yeah. But anyways, let's first take a look before going into the two. Well, actually, there are three specs that I want to talk about. But first of all, since I made the last video in the Sarkareth heroic kill video, I didn't have 4 set. I had 2 set from the old tier and 2 set from the new one, which makes a big difference. It's a big damage increase. Now, since then, this Wednesday, I did manage to get my 4 set. I know it's on the pants, so I'm looking for the new tier chest so I can replace the pants, because the pants are the worst item from the new tier. That's definitely, I mean, I picked it up because it's a massive damage increase for me to have the 4 set, but as soon as I can replace it, I will do that. I'm also not sure how many of you guys are familiar with what is best in terms of crafted gear this season for Moonkin. Basically, we are no longer using the lariat, the elemental lariat, if you didn't already know, as we are using these things, slimy expulsion boots. It does crazy amounts of damage. Now here I was trying to get the mount from the goblin, but you can see the corrosive slime here, that's from the boots. Right, so it does quite a lot of damage. Now this is like just trying to kill the goblin in Valdrakken, whatever, you know. But around 5 to 6% of your damage will come from the boots alone. So it's pretty damn good. I did save a necklace that I got as a drop from last season. I got it maybe a month before. It might even have been more than a month before Season 2 launch. So I saved this just in case in my bank, and that was a wise decision, because we're no longer using the lariat. I'm still looking for a replacement here. Even though this is item level 415 only, it's still pretty damn good, because it has tons of mastery. I got some leech on there, and I have 3 sockets, because it already came with 1. So it's okay. It's not too bad. However, yes, we are getting rid of the lariat. I still have mine in the bank, because you never know. Maybe it will be worth using. I don't think it's not going to be possible. I take that back, because what we do here, we're taking, this is 1 embellishment slot, right? And the second embellishment slot, we use the detoxified armor patch on another leather item crafted gear, which increases the effectiveness of this embellishment on the boots. It makes it, I think it's like twice as strong. Now I made a mistake. Well, it wasn't really a mistake, but before Season 2 launch and everything came about, and all of the theory crafting became what we should definitely do with the launch, I spent my concentrated primal infusions Well, I didn't have any concentrated primal infusions because I used all of those orbs from Mythic Plus that I gained to get rep. So I only have bracers or wrists rather at item level 408, which is a bit of a bummer. I'm gonna push these up as soon as I can, obviously, but that's not really my priority at this point. But you see, this item is infused with the power of decay, so this makes this even more powerful. And these two together with the toxified armor patch, I think most people go with the belt, but yeah, I did get this. I'm using this for now. But yeah, first embellishment, boots, second another crafted, so wrists or belt basically. Then you can't use the lariat because it's an embellished item and you can only have two, right? What else? Yes, I did upgrade. My weapon was 421 on the kill of Sarkar Heroic, but since then I've been able to push it up. So that was my first thing to do. I was also very lucky at the Tuskar Feast thing, so I got the embellishment. Well, it's not really counting as an embellishment, which is great, because then you can still use this on your weapon. So I have this. I also got some nice upgrades since then. Like I got the cloak from Sarkarath normal. It's like the difference between the cloak you get on normal if you push it up to 5 out of 5 is actually not big at all from if you get it from heroic. The heroic one is 444 item level, which means you can't upgrade it really any further, and the difference is very small. So even if you get this one on normal, take it, it's really good. Still rocking this thing, and then I managed to get this on our heroic re-clear this Wednesday. We raid for usually 3 hours let's see, Mondays and Wednesdays. And we during these 3 hours this last Wednesday we cleared all 9 out of 9 bosses on normal and a full re-clear of the heroic as well. So that was cool, and I got this thing in the process, which is also very nice. So you can see my item level is 434. Right now it's a little bit... I'm gonna change this, it's just because I got this trinket and I am currently attuned for haste. I'm just trying to see like the differences, but I'm definitely going to attune this to give me mastery instead. Excuse me. And if you wanna get this item, it's not the best we can have, but you know, that was the only thing I got from the raid. To attune it to haste, if that's what you wanna do, then you go to the bronze Oathstone, and if you wanna attune it to mastery, which is what I'm going to do, you go to the Azure one, so the blue Dragonflight. Anyways, enough of that. Let's get into the meat of this video. So for the Sarkarath fight, and also for the Neltharion fight, well, basically any fight that isn't pure single target in the new raid, I'm using this build. Now here I have this is just because it's the same build I use in Mythic Plus. And if you are a Moonkin and you're running Mythic Plus this week with the Incorporeal affix, yes, you can use Cyclone, but you're gonna have to cast it. If you wanna keep the Incorporeal completely crowd controlled with Cyclone, you're gonna have to cast it 3 times. I tried. It's not the best thing in the world. So spec into hibernate, that's my advice, because then you only have to cast it once. Well, first of all, it's 0.1 second faster than casting a Cyclone, and it's CC'd for 40 seconds. So you put it up once and then you don't have to care anymore, because the Incorporeal is going to despawn before hibernate runs out. And don't worry about this thing saying any damage will awaken the target. It doesn't matter because the incorporeal in the affix are immune to damage, so it cannot break. It just can't break. Because if the mob doesn't take any damage, there is no damage that can break the hibernate. And that's not just a theory, that is the case. So run hibernate. But other than that, in the actual spec, yeah, as you can see, like I'm running Fury of Elune because it's just so strong. Might go New Moon when 10.1.5 comes out if they keep what they're doing right now. Because they are buffing New Moon significantly, and it might actually compete or be better than Fury of Elune on single target fights, but we will have to see. And yeah, so obviously then Essence of the Dream and Friend of the Fae must take. Wild Surges also a must take at this point. 2 points in Astral Smolder because otherwise I can't go further down. I mean, I guess I could put 1 point here and then maybe 1 point here. But I think actually that's a loss of damage. I think I get more if I put 2 in Smolder to get this to 80% instead of 40. I haven't simmed it, but that would be my guess. You're running Starfall, so in this build for Sarkareth Heroic or any Sarkareth fight for that matter, and any other fight where there is AoE, so Echo Neltharion, this is good for Echo. You want to run this in the Amalgamation Chamber as well. But that's basically the 3 ones, right? Amalgamation Chamber, Echo Neltharion, and Sarkareth Heroic. You want to run this build. Yes, then there is the Assault of the Sakali, but we're gonna get to that because I have another idea about what might be good. I mean, obviously it might be good for any of these situations, and what I'm talking about when I'm saying that, I realize I'm being a bit vague here. That would be going from Rattle to Starweaver, right? It's also a good option. It's depending on how you feel and if you want to move. I've been running with Rattle the Stars simply because I want to make sure that I have as much single target damage as possible in my AoE spec, especially for the Echo Neltharion and Sarkareth fights, because yes, there are ads, but they're not up for too long. Echo Neltharion, you only really have ads to that extent, massive ads cleave in phase 3. Phase 2, there is cleave with the faceless ads that you have to bring down, of course, but then at that point you only have 2 targets, right? You have Echo Neltharion and the ad, right? So I definitely recommend going with Rattle of the Stars on that one. In the Sarkareth fights, I'm running exactly this as well. I'm also running it with Rattle the Stars due to the same reason. Basically, I want to have more. I want to make sure that I have a lot of single target and not waste too much time, proccing Starfalls when there are no ads up. I just want to make sure that my Star Surge is as powerful as it can be, right? So that's what I'm doing. Also, obviously, makes your Starfall more powerful as well with the Rattle, which gives you a better burst potential for the ads when it comes to Sarkareth or any other AoE, right? So for Assault of Sakali, I've been running this as well, but I mean, it might be like that's one of those fights where I'm not performing as good as I could be. I'm simming the worst on that fight, which is pretty funny because it's basically almost only pure AoE there. But yeah, I've been a bit insecure about what to do exactly when and stuff, so I'm struggling a little bit there, which made me think maybe it could be good to go Star Weaver there. I'm gonna try it out, going Star Weaver with the Assault of Sakali fight, because you get both, right? The problem I found with that fight in particular, running Rattle the Stars, I mean, it depends on your setup, right, and how much single target damage you have on the mystics in your raid, like with your friends and your guilds and stuff, right? Because it's like, if you're gonna AoE there, you're gonna have to sacrifice. If you AoE on Sakali with Rattle the Stars, you are going to sacrifice quite a lot of your single target damage, right? And if you're gonna focus the Mystic, then you are sacrificing your AoE because you are spending your astral power on Star Surges, right? But you can get around that when you're playing a Star Weaver easily, because every time you cast a Starfall, you have a 40% chance to proc a Star Surge. So then you can just dot everything up, target the Mystic, and use Starfall, right? And then every time you get a proc with Star Surge, you just throw it in the face of the Mystic. That seems to make sense, right? So that's definitely something that I would recommend. But yeah, so for all of you guys who are wondering what is the spec I was using in the Sarkar Throw kill, this is it, right? And the single target here is the same as before. Only thing I've changed here, I changed around a little bit on my class tree. Like this is probably the better version of the raid class tree. I don't have it on the cleave build because I use it all the time in Mythic Plus, and then there are stuff there that I need. As you can see, I don't have Hibernate, I don't have Cyclone, I don't have Typhoon, right? Because when are you gonna use that in a raid? You never use that in Aberrus. You never used it in Vault of Incarnates either. I guess I could make another cleave build and specifically have this and then another for the Mythic Plus, but I'm just too lazy. But yeah, it's just basically to get feline swiftness, right? So you get your movement speed increase, which is good in raids. But otherwise, nothing particularly spectacular here. Now there is another thing I would like to talk about, also something I did apply in my video from the Brackenhide, where I got 100k DPS overall. I mean, I had to work for it with the gear I had. Like now, it's easier to get to that point. I don't have to work as hard because my gear has gotten better. But when it comes to AoE, right? So it's a little bit different than it used to be in the sense of when to use what. Now, obviously, you wanna always dot everything you're in combat with your Moonfire and your Sunfire, always, to get as much damage as possible. And I'm gonna say it again, it is because of our mastery, right? So your nature spells deal 33% additional damage to targets afflicted by your Sunfire, right? So if you don't put your Sunfire up, you are losing 33% of your damage from your nature spells, which is your Wrath, right? And then, sorry, and then you might be like, well, I'm not using Wrath anyways in AoE. Well, we will get to that, and also I don't believe many think that way, because if you do, you're gonna do shit damage. But yeah, Sunfire is a dot which does damage to every afflicted target, right? Same arcane spells deal 33% additional damage from targets afflicted by your Moonfire, which is your Starfire primarily. Yeah, I think Starfire is the only other arcane spell we have, so you obviously want to have both, right? In every scenario, if it's one mob, if it's 2000 mobs and everything in between, you always want to have Moonfire and Sunfire, right? And your astral damage gets buffed by both, right? Because astral damage is arcane and nature combined together. So in this case, with the stats I currently have, my astral damage gets 66% additional damage if I have Moonfire and Sunfire on the targets. Very important. Now, when it comes to when to do what, so basically, this is the way it goes. Don't ask me why. And if you do, the only reason I can say is because I want to do as much damage as possible. This is what seems to do the most damage. Okay. So if it's one target, we're not talking about AoE, right? But if it's and then if you have two targets, what you wanna do is as soon as you have, if it's an AoE, right, and you can AoE two targets, right? And the only real reason to not do that would be if you have to absolutely focus down one target, right? Again, you can get around that with Starweaver, but otherwise, if you're running Rattle like I usually do, and you have to absolutely focus down one thing first, then don't listen to what I'm about to say. But if it's AoE two targets, you are still going to go into Solar Eclipse, right? So two targets, AoE, you go into Solar Eclipse. It's the same rotation as a single target, but you are spending your astral power on Starfall instead of Star Search. So that's AoE on two targets. So it's only the Starfall that really AoEs in that scenario. If it's three targets, this is where it gets weird. So if it's three targets, you wanna go into Lunar Eclipse, and your filler will be Starfire. If you are in Lunar Eclipse, right? But if you are in Incarnation, or you have a Pulsar proc, meaning you will have both solar and lunar eclipse at the same time. If you are in that window, you will cast Wrath, not Starfire. So if you have Incarnation or you are inside Pulsar on three targets in AoE, you cast Wrath and you use Starfall. But if you are only in Lunar Eclipse, you use Starfire and Starfall. And from 4 targets and above, you do as normal. You cast Starfire and you spend with Starfall. This might take a little bit of getting used to, and obviously you wanna keep you want to pay attention to how many mobs there are if you really want to min-max, and this is pretty fun actually. This made the AoE rotation much more fun in my opinion than just casting Starfire and Starfall, right? But let's say the tank pulls these 5, right? These are 5 mobs. So what you're gonna do is, if I'm just gonna not think about the pulsar or the incarnation right now, just for explanation's sake, right? At least now in the beginning, and then we will get to that. But let's say, okay, the tank pulls this group of 5 mobs here. So you dot everything up, right? And then you cast 2 Wrath to get into Lunar Eclipse, and then you start casting Starfire and spending your Starfall, just like normal, right? But then let's say 2 of these mobs die faster for whatever reason, so you are left with 3. You do this, you continue to do the same, right? You cast Starfire and Starfall. But then you proc your Pulsar, your Primordial Arcanic Pulsar, while these 3 are still alive. Then you will hard switch to Wrath instead, right? So it's very dynamic in that sense. You go back and forth between these 2, and obviously then you have to keep track of your eclipse to know. You have to basically keep track of your eclipse, how which eclipse you want to go into and when you are going to go into Pulsar. You know, all those things you have to keep track of to know, together with how many mobs are left and how fast are they going to die. Certain scenarios they might die quickly enough so it doesn't really matter, right? And then you might only lose DPS because you're thinking too much. But don't worry, you'll get used to it, and it'll be more intuitive. Just like anything else new you learn. Then there has also been some questions about my weak aura. So let me just bring up my weak aura so you can see what I have. Okay, so this is, yeah, that's for Sarkareth, Razageth, whatever. This is for my mage alt. I have this thing, Dragonflight Season 2 Dungeons. I highly suggest that you get that from wago.io for weak auras. It's very good. You can use deadly boss mods as well. I just opted for a weak aura this time around. I used deadly boss mod for Season 1. It works fine. But I prefer the visual and sound cues of the what's... I was about to say what's up. Weak aura. I do have this separate one for Starweaver, which always when I do use it, when I'm in Starweaver spec, it activates and I see it right over here. But for this thing right here, and my cooldowns always come up here, and you know, the Starlord and everything is here. Like you can see my other videos. That is this thing, Freeborn's Druid Auras. It's extremely good. I like it a lot. There are others. This one is more compacted than the one I used in the beginning, and it works better for me now because I got it. The other weak aura, I can't even remember the name of it, but that I have in my earlier videos did help me a lot in the beginning because I wasn't feeling too comfortable enough, I guess, with the rotation just yet. And then as I improved and got better as a Moonkin player, it was too much. I was looking at these numbers and I wasn't paying attention to what was happening, and you know, it set me back. So I needed to find a better alternative, and this was what I found. A lot of other high-level Moonkins use another one. I don't know exactly the name of that one, but I just don't like how that one looks. I mean, it's got the same information basically as this one. I just, for me personally, this one is more clear. That's the way I experience it, so this is what I went with. This is a lot of a big mess, I know, but it's just because if you click this you will see absolutely everything that it shows. But it's very neat, very compact, simple and clean, which is what I want from my weak auras. Another nice thing is that it automatically changes depending on which form you're in. So normal is it's set to balance because I am in balance spec right now. But if I go into bear, I can see my rage. I think it's rage. I don't know what it's called in bear form. I never tank. If I go into cat, I can see my energy. And what else? Yeah, that's the same as Moonkin. Yeah, this is just cosmetic. But yeah, it's very nice, and this is blinking because I don't have the buff. But yeah, that's basically it. My action bar, I'm using dominoes because it's very clean and extremely easy to customize. My personal nameplate, target, focus target, which is, I usually have it over here, and target of target is also the same as my own nameplate. I also changed to have the same look in my party frames when I'm doing Mythic Plus, and that is shadowed unit frames. I highly suggest that you pick it up if you don't have it already. It's extremely customizable as well. You can basically change these to whatever you want, to look however you want them to look. It was just easier to keep track of that instead of using the grid for 5-man content as I did before, because I want to see when my friends are about to die, and I didn't see that in the grid. Maybe there's an option to change that, I don't know, but now I'm only using grid for raiding, basically. But yeah, feel free to rewind to the beginning of the video if you watch this through, or I'll just slap it up here again. So for any type of AoE fight in the raid, I use this build. You can change for Starweaver, whatever you feel more comfortable with if you want, but otherwise this is the way I would go. And again, for the single target for all of the fights where there is no AoE, this is the build you want to go with. And again, if you want to have some extra mobility in your raids, take away these talents, these 4, and go 1, 2, 3, 4 to get your movement speed. But that's basically it, guys. I hope that was what you were looking for and that it helped. And if you want me to do any other explanation content about rotation, or if you have any other question regarding Moonkin in general, or whatever, just, you know, hit me up, put a comment on the video, and you know, if I'll make a new video if there is a lot of questions and stuff like that that comes up, right? I'm sorry if you have asked me for my spec a long time ago. I do apologize, but I generally don't want to put myself in the position where just because one person asks me something, I'm gonna spend hours making an entire video. That's just not efficient for me, and it's a waste of my time. But if there are enough people who want to see something specific, like the spec in this case, then it's not a waste of my time, because a lot of people are asking about it, and then I feel, okay, this is probably important to do, so then I also want to do it, right? Because at the end of the day, I'm making the content that I want to make. Obviously, I'm super happy that people are liking what I'm doing. That's always nice, right? And it inspires me to make more content. But at the end of the day, I'm doing this because I want to I like it. I like making videos about these things. I do like to help people, but you know, there's a limit to everything. But yeah, I hope you have a good one and good luck with your raiding, guys. And yeah, let me know what you think if you try this out and if you haven't seen this before. And yeah, if like I said, if you have any detailed things, oh, I don't know why this is happening when I'm doing this and we have the same build, what's happening? Drop a comment and I'll try to give you as best of an answer as I can. Alright? Peace!